They don't see your vision, Adam.
They really don't. Like, I don't know how I get a job making that decision, but that's what I need to get a job doing. What should we patch? The bullshit. Welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. In today's video, we're going to keep an eye towards the future. We're going to look at the upcoming NBA 2K18. This is going to be my wish list for the things I want to see implemented in the next installment of our favorite basketball series. Now, I know none of these ideas are going to actually make it into the game. They've already announced that it's coming out later this year. They're not going to have time to implement some of the bigger scale ideas that I have, but I want to tell you about them anyway. So, without further ado, this is part 1 of my NBA 2K18 wish list, Mycareer mode. The first item on my list we're going to call branching Mycareer paths. Now, ever since 2K tried to make the story of your MyPlayer the central focus of the Mycareer mode, and let's face it, it's been a little lacking. The Spike Lee stuff was a disaster. It was the same story, the same 10 to 12 cutscenes over and over. And it kind of took away from the fact that every player that plays 2K and plays the Mycareer mode is a different person. We all have different personalities, we all have different backgrounds, but in these story modes, everyone has the same family, everyone has the same friends, everyone has the same upbringing, everyone has the same experience through college, and it just doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel like a fully fleshed out story like we've been promised that we're getting. Like take the guy in 2K17 here, for example. You know, not everyone is a nose to the grindstone student, gym rat. Not everyone's a straight A student in college. Not everybody's this. They give you kind of options as to what kind of personality you want to have, but most of the time it's, either be humble beyond belief or kind of be arrogant, but neither option has any effect on what's actually going on. If I want to be an asshole like Draymond Green or DeMarcus Cousins, let me be an asshole. If I want to be humble, like Jimmy Butler, he's quiet and humble most of the time, let me do that. Or if I want to be the guy that's got like the huge chip on his shoulder, like say like an Isaiah Thomas or somebody like that, then let Mycareer story reflect that. Let that affect how people interact with me. Even if it's like a personality trait that you have to choose at the beginning when you're picking your archetype, then give me conversation pieces that will actually shape how people look at me based on what personality I've picked at the very beginning of this thing. Let me call people out in press conferences. Let me build organic rivalries and friendships instead of the forced bullshit that comes through on the cell phone. We have more autonomy over the story that way. We have more control over what's going on. And when we're given options like whether to side with Mountain Dew or to side with Gatorade, for example, give us some conversation pieces and some choices that actually will shape the story other than just on a cosmetic level. Now, if 2K does this, they've been saying for years they want to make an RPG. If they do this, they will have an RPG on their hands, because what you're going to have are players who want to play the career mode over and over again just to see the different storylines that can happen with the different personality types. Because what you have now is a system where you grind out to get the badges, you grind out to get the practice upgrades so that you can level your MyPlayer up, and then you take your MyPlayer to the park or the Pro-Am, and then people don't really talk about the career mode much after that. They'll experience it once, YouTubers will get the cutscenes up on YouTube, and then that's the end of it. Nobody wants to play it anymore, except to grind out those badges for their next player. With this, you'll actually have a legitimate reason for people to come back to experience the story all over again if it really is a different story every time you play it. I know the next item on my list is going to piss a lot of people off, but I want archetype limitations. Now, hear me out on this. Hang on. The archetype system that's in place now was a great start, in my opinion. I really genuinely like the idea of having a specialized trait that your player excels at. But here's the problem. When you get players' ratings up to 95 and above, everyone can basically do everything, so it doesn't make any player feel unique anymore. Like, anytime I go into a Pro-Am game now, I almost don't even bother looking at what archetype my opponent picked, my matchup picked, because I can't leave anybody open. So say if I'm guarding a lockdown or a glass cleaner, for example, I've seen those guys go out and hit threes like it's nothing. And to me, That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So now I still have to go out there and guard those guys. I can't adjust my defensive strategy because everybody can shoot threes. On the flip side, I've seen playmakers go through and just completely destroy people with dunks. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, have I ever seen Chris Paul go up on someone and just completely just body on body and win that matchup? No, that never happens. And the other thing that's more frustrating than anything I can tell you is I have a slasher that is a small forward. He's got all of the badges that you need. He's got all the Hall of Fame badges. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've had some little guard come up and block me in a one-on-one situation when I'm trying to dunk on someone. It's fucking frustrating because it feels like what my guy is supposed to be really good at, I can't be really good at that because everybody else is also good at the things that counter me. So 74 right now is the cap, generally speaking, for your secondary attributes for certain players. That needs to be a little bit lower because I feel like at 74, you can still have guys go out there and either boost up to get up to around 80 or find some ways to manipulate the system so that they can still do the other things that their class is not really supposed to be able to do. Because when you have these guys go out there and make these, monstrous rebounding stretch bigs, it just kind of negates the whole purpose of the archetype system. So if you're going to make us choose something we're going to be really good at, go all in with it. The third item on my list is connected Mycareer. Basically, in this proposed mode, you could connect with up to 2 friends and import their MyPlayer into your game, and you can either play with them in real time, if they're online with you at the same time, similar to how the Pro-Am works, or have the CPU control their players as they would, kind of like downloading a ghost, if you will, of that player. This would also give you another element of control during your Mycareer story. You and your friends could organize a big 3 setup to where you guys could go to the same team, negotiate your contracts so that you have the ability to stay on the same team and kind of shape the roster that way a little bit. And when your friend's not online and you're using their MyPlayer in your game, their ratings and everything would all stay static, but as soon as they log in and connect with you again, the MyPlayer's stats and animations and things like that would update so that when that friend logs off again, you now have a newer version of their MyPlayer to play with. I mean, this is kind of a stretch for me. I just think it would be kind of cool to go through and actually play with your friends and shape NBA games and shape, like, could Mark and I go through and guard Steph and Clay? Could we go through and bring a championship to a team that hasn't had one in their franchise history? Could we do things that other NBA players couldn't do? Instead of the only time we're able to do this is when we're playing against other real people and they're MyPlayers who don't have any weight to them. I mean, how awesome would it be to be able to go through and team up and play against the Warriors, or go and play against the Celtics, or beat the Lakers in the championship, or just whatever you want to do. Like, there's a lot of fun that can be had with playing against and beating real life NBA players. We have reached the end of our list, and the final entry on it is linking Mycareer mode to MyGM mode. So the goal supposedly of the Mycareer mode is to achieve everything there is to achieve, hold all the records, win championships, win titles, win awards, and then you retire and get inducted into the Hall of Fame. The problem with that is that after your player retires, there's not anything else for them to do besides, play in the park and play in the Pro-Am. But what if your retired player could then get messages from team owners? Say if you spent the majority of your time in Charlotte, for example, then Michael Jordan would call you and be like, hey, I need somebody to come help coach this team or to come GM this team. I need someone with your personality, your skill set, your basketball knowledge to lead this team into the future. And then, you remember how we talked about building organic rivalries and having a personality assigned to your player and having rivalries and friendships throughout the league? Well, when you retire as a player, all of that information, all those choices you made, carry over into the new and improved MyGM mode, where you then don't have to start with a blank slate as far as building relationships with the other GMs. They're going to have opinions of you based on how you were as a player. And if you have other players who retired at about the same time you did, they could also be GMs and head coaches and things like that. And you get to interact with them on a new level and just add a new layer of depth to the Mycareer experience. Because ultimately, that's what's missing from this is depth. It's still a very shallow experience, no matter how you break it down. So anything 2K can do, if they want to implement one or all of these 4 items for Mycareer mode, I truly believe would make it a more enriching experience for the players who pluck down $60 every year, basically for this mode. So that's going to do it for this video, folks. Thank you so much for watching today. I always appreciate it when you take the time to watch these videos. This has been part 1 of my NBA 2K18 wishlist. Part 2 will involve the Park and the Pro-Am, because I do have some ideas for those modes as well that I feel like could genuinely improve the experience of playing them online. But as always, if you ever want to play with me on the PlayStation 4, my name on there is Bomberman4000, not 3000, not 5000, it's 4000. Be sure to get those numbers at the end correct. And if you ever want to follow me on Twitter, the name is @BigBombTheory. I will post a link to it in the description. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. That always helps me out a lot when you guys take the time to do that. And I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves.